Today I decided to give you guys a ranking of the Jurassic Park series. This is a series of films that started back in 1993, 30 whole years ago now, and it's about genetically engineered dinosaurs running amok in a park and eventually the world. It's a fun series of films, ones that I've always enjoyed, and so without further ado I decided to give you guys my ranking from worst to best. Starting with number 6, 2015's Jurassic World. I know for a lot of people this film ranks higher on the list, but to me it just feels kind of like a rehash of the original film. It does have lots of cool dinosaur action in it, but the biggest problem that I have with the film is it just feels very unoriginal. The only real difference this time around is the park is open to the public. The film does have a new set of main characters, including Owen Grady. It's something of an adventurer type. He's essentially a mix between Sam Neill and Jeff Goldblum's characters, and while he is an interesting protagonist, he's just not as interesting as either one of the original two male protagonists. Instead of Laura Dern, this time we also have Bryce Dallas Howard playing Claire, and she does an okay job, but like I said, neither one of these is really up to the par of the actors from the original trilogy. Overall, just kind of an unoriginal and somewhat stale rehash. In 5th place, we have the most recent entry, 2022's Jurassic World Dominion. The interesting thing about this film is that they actually had the original cast, Laura Dern, Sam Neill, and Jeff Goldblum come back to reprise their roles, and it's great to see them again, and they're also the best part of the movie. Also, the film kind of focuses on them much more than I thought they would, which I really enjoy. The new cast kind of take a back seat in this one, and that's kind of a good thing, because I think the original cast is much better here, and it's great to see them again. Whenever we're with the original cast, this is my favorite film of the trilogy. But unfortunately for the other half of the film, we're not with the original cast, and it's probably my least favorite film. So unfortunately, half of this movie is the best Jurassic World film, and the other half is the worst Jurassic World film. There's also a really dumb plot about locusts, these giant locusts that are basically eating up crops that have been bioengineered by InGen. It's cool to see Dodgson return, although played by a different actor, because the original actor is, well, let's just say he's a bad guy in real life. Ultimately, it's not a terrible film, but the locust plotline feels kind of shoehorned in. The second film really makes you think it's going to be about the world being taken over by dinosaurs, but the world being inhabited by dinosaurs is kind of just a footnote, and the main plot focuses around this whole locust thing, and it's just kind of a weird way to end your trilogy. It's subversive enough, I suppose, and it's more original than the first Jurassic World movie, but apart from the original cast returning and their scenes, the other half of the movie is basically a bust. I still recommend it, but it leaves a lot to be desired. Surprisingly enough, in 4th place, we have Jurassic World Fallen Kingdom. Released in 2018, this one is the most batshit crazy and balls to the wall of the entire Jurassic World trilogy. It basically shows Jurassic Park being destroyed by an erupting volcano, and they have to try to rescue the dinosaurs from the island. In the first half of the film, in the second half of the film, it's basically a dinosaur horror film where they run amok in a giant mansion. Crazy, it's over the top, it's a weird premise, but damn if it doesn't kind of work. The other thing I don't like about the film is that Claire has these 2 assistants, these millennial kids, and they're just really annoying, especially the girl character. I think they were trying to just appease a younger audience, but man, these kids are really annoying. But I will admit that despite the film being more or less a schlock fest, it's the most entertaining of the 3 Jurassic World films. In number 3, a lot of people's least favorite film, but for me it's Jurassic Park 3. Jurassic Park 3 is the Jurassic Park film with the least amount of fat. It's 90 minutes of just pure dinosaur action on an island. This time, Alan Grant, played by Sam Neill, returns. He and this couple have to try to rescue their kid, who has been stranded on an island when he was on a vacation with his uncle. And dinosaur action ensues. They actually return to the island from the second film, Isla Sorna, and I found that kind of interesting instead of returning to the original Jurassic Park island. It's a fun sequel that's just crazy and over the top, and like I said, it's just 90 minutes of pure dino action. The story's not deep. There's nothing really super compelling about it, but it knows what it is. It's like, hey, here's a Jurassic Park film that's not as complex as the first 2, but it's get in, get out, fun action. And I always preferred Sam Neill's Alan Grant over Ian Malcolm. Really was cool to see him return to the franchise as the main lead, and it really works. A very entertaining film, and one that I highly recommend. Coming in at number 2 is 1997's The Lost World, Jurassic Park. the sequel to 1993's Jurassic Park, and the last one based on a book, although you can use the term based very loosely. This film sees Ian Malcolm going to another island to try and save his girlfriend after she was sent there by John Hammond for research purposes. It's actually a really cool idea for a movie because the dinosaurs are completely roaming free this time around, and crazy and awesome action ensues with good characters, good story. It feels the most like the original film, and it feels like a legitimate sequel that actually had good ideas. And I think it's because this one was still based on a book. Whereas after this, they were all original screenplays, and I think you kind of need Michael Crichton. I think he really makes these movies work. And without him, you essentially just have, well, you have the rest of the series, honestly. I do really enjoy this film, and I love the pacing, and I love the action and adventure. I didn't always love this film. I just think it was kind of slow. But as I've gotten older, I actually appreciate this film much more. I think the acting is top-notch. I think everyone's doing a good job here. I love Jeff Goldblum as Ian Malcolm in this movie. I like the fact that we see Hammond again, and for the last time, sadly. And I also just enjoy the visuals and the special effects and the spectacle of the film. It's all handled very well. It's not too over the top and crazy like the Jurassic World movies, but it's also not as schlocky as Jurassic Park 3. It's the perfect middle balance that almost comes close to the levels of the first film, but not quite. A magnificent sequel and one that I highly recommend. Check out The Lost World, Jurassic Park. You'll have a good time. But none of them can beat the original 1993's Jurassic Park. Directed by Steven Spielberg and based on the novel by Michael Crichton, it basically shows a group of scientists as they're invited to a park that's about to be open that features resurrected dinosaurs through the miracle of science. Everything's going according to plan until a traitor within the company unleashes the dinosaurs by accident, and all hell breaks loose. Just a really fun, great adventure that has Sam Neill, Jeff Goldblum, Laura Dern, Samuel Jackson, and many other great actors just portraying these great characters. And that's one of the best things about the first film. All the characters are really great. They're completely memorable. You just really get into what's going on with them. As far as the later films, you kind of cared less and less about the characters. It was more just about the dinosaurs. But this one's a perfect mix between the two. You get some great dinosaur action, and not that much, believe it or not. I think total there was only about 10 or 12 minutes of dinosaurs on screen in the entire film, but they utilized them so well that you swear they were on screen for an entire hour at least. It's just such a well-produced and well-made film. The terror is great. The acting is great. The script is amazing. There's nothing about the film not to love, and it's one of Spielberg's best films, easily in his top 3. It is just an amazing film, and if you haven't seen Jurassic Park, pretty much everyone has, but if you haven't, I highly recommend it. It's actually being re-released in 3D this year for the 30th anniversary, and I might even check that out. It's just pure spectacle through and through, and one of the most entertaining films ever released. This film pretty much put CGI on the map. It really made Spielberg more of a household name than he already was, and it's truly a classic. Well, that's my list. I hope you all enjoyed it. I know some of my choices might be somewhat unconventional, but it is how I feel about the franchise. Overall, I think the World films feel just kind of like rehashes with not many original ideas. And I think the original Park trilogy is really where it's at. I do enjoy all the films, though. Even Jurassic World, I think, has some merit. But I think the first 2 films are always going to be the best. And the rest of them range from decent to what were they thinking. I thank you all for watching. This has been a fun video to make. And peace out.